You have to like, winning 4 games in a row, but it's awfully early. It doesn't, there are 158 games to go, but the games you win now, you don't have to win later.
But in terms of disappointment, last year you had the expectations, you had that high payroll. How big of a disappointment was that team for you?
Well, that team was an enormous disappointment because we thought it was going to be a pretty good team, and I still think there was a lot of talent on that team. And it was awfully hard to suffer through the season. It's still hard to understand how you can be second in the league in home runs and last in runs scored. I mean, it got to the point where I just couldn't stand to watch it at times last year, and I'm sure the fans felt the same way.
In 1985, you traded for this scrawny shortstop who didn't speak any English named Ozzie Guillen. And if someone would have told you back then that this young kid would later become your manager and win your first World Series title, what would you have told that person?
Well, I would have believed the first part. I don't know about the World Series, but when Ozzie came here, he was 21 years old, and I remember being amazed at his instincts. I had never seen a young player with the baseball instincts that he had. So if somebody had said, well, when his career is over, he's going to be a manager, I probably would have believed him because he had these great baseball instincts. As far as winning a World Series, I didn't know if that was ever going to happen.
Jose Canseco is back in the news, and last week he said that he gave Magglio Ordonez steroids while he was playing for the Sox, and he said Kenny Williams took a blind eye to the whole thing. And I'm wondering, when you heard that claim, what you thought.
No, I don't know if he gave Magglio steroids. Only Magglio knows. But I certainly know that neither Kenny nor I were aware of it. And he didn't say that Kenny Williams knew. He said, or that I knew, or he said, in effect, what he's saying is we had to know. Well, what do you mean we had to know? I didn't see any increase in Magglio Ordonez's size. So I think he's making generalizations. He may have been right and told the truth about some players in the first book, but when he starts to generalize, that's when he gets in trouble.
Well, you look back at that era, and there's only so much that you, as an owner of a team, can do. You can't be everywhere. But looking back on that, do you think, as an organization, you could have or should have done more?
We would have loved to have done more, but Don Fehr wouldn't do it. What people should start to realize is that we could have been testing for steroids years and years ago, but Don Fehr wouldn't do it because he said it was an invasion of privacy. And the result of that is that Don Fehr is probably going to cost players entry into the Hall of Fame, because if we could have been testing for steroids years ago, some of these guys who are now on the bubble, who have gotten themselves in trouble, would have been off of the steroids. There never would have been an issue, and they would have been sure Hall of Famers. So steroids is strictly a Don Fehr problem and creation.
Do you think he realizes this?
Don Fehr is in a world of his own. He's the most goofed up guy I've ever met in my life. And everything is theory, invasion of rights. He has no interest in the game, no interest in his players, just interested in his own theoretical beliefs.
You've won 6 NBA titles. You've won a World Series title. Do you have a number in mind or a year in mind where you'll be able to say, you know what, I did it, I'm going to walk away?
And then die?
No, and then
well, that's what happens.
Sell the team or retire, whatever you want to do after this.
When you walk away, you die.
Some people do, some people don't.
George Burns had a great line. He said, when I asked him when he was going to retire, he said, retire to what?
So basically, you can't walk away. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't feel like walking away. If I ever get to the point where I want to walk away, I'll walk away. But right now, I enjoy what I'm doing. If we lose 3 games in a row, I'll probably think I should get out. But the fact of the matter is that I enjoy what I'm doing.
Well, what do you think the Bulls and the White Sox are worth? Is there a number in your mind?
No.
You've never even thought about how much they could be worth?
No.
Never?
Never.
What if someone came to you tomorrow and said, okay, Jerry, I'll give you this price, $2 billion for the Bulls and the Sox? Would you even listen?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it until you just raised the question now. But when somebody comes in and offers $2 billion, then I'll think about whether I want to listen.
Okay. I'm not implying anything. I was just kind of curious.
Oh, you mean you don't have the $2 billion?
I've got $1. That's about it. But I'll get with my friends. Maybe I can come up with about $1,000.
One thing I do want to do is I do want to outlast the Sun Times.